Story recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a crime, horror, and mystery film called Captivity. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. In a secured room somewhere, a man gets tortured before being brutally killed with a sledgehammer by his captor. Meanwhile, in the heart of New York City, Jennifer Tree lives a luxurious lifestyle as a top cover girl and fashion model. One time, while on a photo shoot session, Jennifer remains unaware that a creep is discreetly taking a video of her. She also doesn't know that she's being stalked for quite some time already. Afterward, Jennifer begs for a one-day leave, but her manager requires her to go to a charity event instead. Feeling tired, Jennifer tells her dog, Susie, that she's the only one who truly loves her. That night, someone follows Jennifer on her way to the event, leaving her scared and in a hurry to leave. Jennifer then casually drinks a cocktail at the venue, clueless that someone spiked it. When Jennifer feels dizzy, she heads into the restroom and freshens herself up. However, she senses someone behind her and decides to check who it is. When she walks out of the comfort room, Jennifer sees and examines a video recorder at the end of the hallway, which shows footage of her. Unfortunately, before Jennifer can do anything else, her stalker quickly abducts her. A little while later, the kidnapper puts the unconscious Jennifer in a room that is almost similar to her unit. Still feeling groggy, Jennifer wakes up and notices something different in her room. She checks the windows and is surprised to learn that it's just a projection. Scared, Jennifer examines every corner of the room in search of a way out. When she fails to see one, Jennifer screams, asking where she is. Then, suddenly, a metal drawer embedded in the wall opens with a glass and a note, telling her to drink the vitamins. Enraged, Jennifer throws the drink and destroys everything, leaving the room messy. So to stop Jennifer, her captor emits sleeping gas into her room. Later on, Jennifer wakes up due to the loud screams from the TV, showing a disturbing video of a girl begging for her life. She watches the girl being showered with acid that soon burns her face. When the kidnapper walks in and prepares the shower for her, Jennifer screams for help and attempts to escape. However, all she can do is wail as her captor lets some yellow liquid pour all over her face. After some time, Jennifer wakes up with bandages on her face. She quickly looks in the mirror and removes it, only to find a small wound on her face. When she touches it, she soon realizes that it's a fake wound. To scare Jennifer, the kidnapper turns the shower on and causes her to scream and run back to the room. Meanwhile, the drawer opens again, giving her the first key to a row of numbered lockers in the room. Jennifer then unlocks it and finds her old corset, but when she refuses to wear it, a high-frequency sound plays again. Still, Jennifer rips the corset and hides under the bed, where she finds a nail file. When the noise stops, Jennifer immediately attempts to escape by opening a vent using the nail file as a screwdriver. She climbs up to the vent and crawls inside, but her abductor uses a circular saw to make a hole in it. Jennifer even tries to find another way out, but her captor eventually catches and sedates her. Later on, Jennifer wakes up, chained to a chair. Meanwhile, the kidnapper puts a dirty bib on her before grabbing amputated body parts from the refrigerator and putting them in a blender. Sickened, Jennifer screams and begs for the kidnapper to stop, but he still places a funnel in her mouth and forces her to swallow the disgusting mixture. While Jennifer's unconscious, the hooded man cleans the remaining blood on her lips using cotton buds, then smears it on his lips before licking it off. A few hours later, Jennifer awakens and realizes she's not alone. Jennifer notices a flickering light in the adjacent cell and discovers that a young man, Gary Dexter, is being held captive there. The two establish contact by writing on the glass wall, attempting to learn why they are being detained. Gary also hands Jennifer some matches so she won't be afraid in the dark, telling her they must be in a wine cellar. Later that day, Gary scrapes the paint off the glass wall between him and Jennifer, allowing them to talk to each other easier. Jennifer then reveals that the kidnapper knows a lot about her, adding that he's probably learned all the details from her interviews. On the other hand, the kidnapper watches his victims on his monitor as they get to know each other, also listening to the news of Jennifer's disappearance. After falling asleep, Jennifer wakes up and sees the hooded kidnapper sedating Gary. Then, the lights suddenly turn off, and the kidnapper shows her one of her interviews where she mentioned she's scared of the dark. The drawer also opens again and shows a cup filled with sand and a card of the Hanged Man, with a matchbox inside it. As she reaches for the match, the abductor appears behind her and puts her to sleep. Later on, Jennifer awakens and finds herself in a giant glass box with sand flowing in, freaking out as she tries to break out. Meanwhile, Gary hears Jennifer's screams and finds a card in his room, asking him if Jennifer is worth it. Gary then grabs a metal rod and goes into the vent to save Jennifer. And just when the sand is about to fill the tank, Gary breaks it and confronts his fellow prisoner. The two quickly go into the crawl space, eventually discovering an acid-burnt body of a woman in a tub. Unfortunately, when the kidnapper notices that they're escaping, he grabs a rifle and follows them. Finally, Jennifer and Gary reach the garage and get in the car in an attempt to break the garage door. However, as soon as they drive past the door, the car suddenly stops, causing Gary to hit his head and lose consciousness. A car cover then wraps the vehicle, and as Jennifer struggles to get out, the kidnapper emits sleeping gas inside the car. When Jennifer wakes up, she realizes that her hand is taped to a gun, which is pointed at her pet dog inside a cage. The kidnapper subjects her to psychological abuse, where she is forced to choose between her life and Susie's. As the kidnapper gives her 30 seconds to decide, Jennifer cries at the thought of losing her pet. Unfortunately, Jennifer ends up pulling the trigger and killing Susie. A little while later, Jennifer mourns Susie's death. As she cries, she suddenly hears Susie and sees her inside a glass box. However, when she's about to break it, the kidnapper reveals that he's just playing with her and that it's just a trick. After some time, Jennifer wakes up in different clothes. She then goes near the glass and tells Gary the kidnapper wants to show his power by torturing them. Suddenly, the doors between them open, but both of them don't move. However, it's already too late for them to do anything when the doors close again. When Jennifer asks why Gary didn't come in, he responds that he doesn't know whether she's real. Meanwhile, the drawer opens again and it shows the fourth key. Jennifer then unlocks the fourth locker and finds a black dress and heels inside. Feeling helpless, she wears it as if she surrenders everything to the kidnapper, who watches everything they do. When she finishes her makeup, the doors open again, giving them a chance to run into each other's arms. However, the kidnapper disrupts their momentary feeling of relief by showing them a torture video. Enraged, Gary destroys all the cameras, making the kidnapper come out of his room and get into a fight with him. The kidnapper fires a gun, making Gary fall to the ground. He then takes Gary with him, leaving Jennifer alone in the dark. After that, the TV turns on and shows a gun pointing at Gary's face, causing Jennifer to beg for his life. But the kidnapper has other plans, so he opens the door and takes Jennifer with him too. A little while later, Jennifer awakens in a torture chair alongside Gary. The kidnapper also shows them a video of a woman lying in bed with drugs all over her, apologizing to her kid for touching him. The child then kills his mother by stabbing her repeatedly before taking a photograph of her, smirking later on as he looks at her photo. Seconds later, the kidnapper appears and touches Jennifer, making Gary protest and tell him to get off her. Pissed, the kidnapper grabs a pair of pliers and inserts them into Jennifer's mouth. However, when he's about to pull her tooth, Gary insists on punishing him instead. So the kidnapper quickly pulls out Gary's tooth and leaves his mouth all bloody before knocking out Jennifer. Getting comfortable in each other's arms, Jennifer and Gary make love to each other that night. But unbeknownst to them, the kidnapper stands in the dark and quietly watches them. He then returns to his room and takes one last look at his prisoners on the television before going to the bathroom. The following day, Gary awakens beside Jennifer. When he tries to wake her up and she asks to be left alone to sleep, Gary realizes that the kidnapper has spiked her drink. Worried, he goes to the bathroom and looks at himself in the mirror. Suddenly, Gary's expression changes, and he even points his hand to the mirror, pretending to shoot himself. Next, Gary looks at the hidden camera before opening the mirror that hides an electronic card reader and a door. He then quietly heads inside and closes the door behind him before going to his room. There, Gary watches the continuation of the kid's video, revealing that he's the boy who killed his mother. Meanwhile, from a distance, his brother witnesses what happened. After watching the video, Gary heads to the bathroom to clean up the blood on his face, when he realizes that his brother, Ben Dexter, is in the bathtub. Ben teases him for sleeping with Jennifer, but Gary reminds him that it's his call. In the kitchen, Gary asks if his acting was good, to which Ben replies that it's one of the best. However, when Gary confesses to Ben that Jennifer might be the one for him, Ben slaps his brother and reminds him not to get too involved with their victims. Then, as Ben gets something from the refrigerator, Gary stabs him and repeatedly apologizes before dragging him into the bathtub. Later on, Gary looks at their scrapbook, filled with Jennifer's photos. However, he gets distracted when someone knocks on the door. Gary then rushes to hide the scrapbooks in the cabinet and slams it closed, unaware that he's left it open. Meanwhile, Detective Bediger and Detective DeSantos knock on the door and look for Ben, but Gary informs them that his brother is not home. Still, the detectives enter the residence and question him. However, when they're about to leave, they request to watch a basketball game quickly on TV. Detective DeSantos then changes the channel and discovers footage of Jennifer sleeping, making him and his partner immediately suspicious of Gary. Unfortunately, when Gary notices this, he quickly shoots both of them. Gary then rushes down to Jennifer's cell and informs her that he has killed the kidnappers, adding that it is time for them to leave. Still feeling drowsy, Jennifer goes with him upstairs, where she sees the two bodies on the floor. Jennifer asks if he has already called the police, to which Gary responds that he thinks the kidnappers have taken videos of them and says he will find the tapes first before calling the cops. As Gary cleans up his mess and cuts off the phone line, Detective Bediger turns out to be still alive and approaches Jennifer. Frightened, Jennifer screams for Gary before striking the detective with a bat, thinking he's one of her tormentors. Gary then arrives and is relieved to see the detective dead, telling Jennifer she did the right thing. When Jennifer insists on calling the cops, Gary simply keeps quiet and takes her to the living room, instructing her to wait for him while he continues to get rid of the other evidence. Meanwhile, as Jennifer waits for Gary, she notices a half-open cabinet containing scrapbooks with her name on it. Curious, Jennifer takes it and discovers that someone has planned everything that's happened to her. She checks the other victim's scrapbook and finds that Gary and his brother are involved in all of the abduction, and everything is just scripted. Then suddenly, Ben, who is also still alive, appears behind Jennifer and strangles her. Trying her best to fight the big guy, Jennifer pushes the knife even deeper into his body and flees. However, all the doors are locked, so Jennifer heads to the kitchen and desperately looks for a way out. Moments later, Jennifer hears the detective's pager ring and looks for it, hoping to get help. However, Gary arrives and takes a video of her beside the dead police officer, ordering her to assist him in cleaning up. He then tells Jennifer that she belongs to him, and since she's frightened, Jennifer simply agrees. However, when Gary demands she prove it, Jennifer embraces him before she sprays ammonia in his eyes and runs away. Jennifer quickly heads back to the cellar and locks herself in there, looking for a way out of the house. Meanwhile, as Gary tries to open the door with a cleaver, Jennifer turns off the main switch and heads into the crawl space to hide. On the other hand, Gary relentlessly pursues Jennifer and refuses to stop until he finds her. As Gary searches for Jennifer, she heads into her cellar room and sees Ben's gun. She then catches Gary's attention by pointing the flashlight at the glass wall, intending to distract the man for a while. Sure enough, Gary tries to enter Jennifer's room, unaware that she's already made her way into his. Jennifer boldly points the gun at Gary, but she makes the mistake of not cocking it. Gary then takes the firearm from her and throws her to the bed, teaching her how to use it. He also points the gun at Jennifer's face while admiring her beauty, showing her that he's finally ready to kill her. However, Jennifer kicks him in the groin and pulls the rifle from his grasp, making sure to cock the gun this time. Then instead of shooting him in the head, Jennifer shoots Gary in the groin before shooting him 2 more times in the body. Jennifer then thanks him for the lesson and finally leaves the room, making her way outside the house. Finally, as she walks away from her nightmare, Jennifer passes by her massive poster for her upcoming movie, entitled Dare.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.